Hi everyone, I'm back to this sheep and lambs painting that I sketched out the other day, and I'm going to start by adding some watercolor to the background. So I've got my little kit here, but I'm actually using tube watercolors. I've got some cerulean blue, cad yellow and undersea green squeezed out onto the lid. I'm going to start with this synthetic mop brush, and this bit of blue here, I think that's acrylic. That's bled in from another painting that I did previously on this pad of paper, but we'll make use of that, and that will become part of the sky. So I'm just going to start out by grabbing some of this cerulean. And I don't want things to be too pure blue, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of raw umber there and mix that in. I probably added a bit too much there, to be honest, so we'll grab a bit more of the blue, just so that it's not, too much of a pastel sky. And we'll come back through. And then I think that's neutral tint that's dried out on the lid. So we'll add a few touches of grey to the sky as well. So these sheep were up on Dartmoor, and if you've ever been to Dartmoor, the weather is very changeable up there, so there's usually at least a couple of clouds in the sky, and a variety of colours. So we've got a little bit of a sky going on there. So let's now mix in. Actually, I'm going to grab some yellow ochre from the pan there, and we'll just put in a distant hill line, or at least begin to hint at it. So with these early stages with the watercolour washes, I like to often work in the way I am, where it's very, wet in wet. And what happens, and then we can always adjust for it once things have dried, if it isn't looking the way that we want. But then as we come down towards the edge of the field, things become a little greener. So we'll pop some of that undersea green that I have there on the lid into that mix. Now, if these watercolour washes bleed into the watercolour marker that I used for the animals, then that's no problem at all. We'll just either keep those random effects or remove them later. Perhaps there's a hedge line there, which will help act as contours on the hills, and then we'll just vary the brushwork as we move over to the left here. And then within those paler colours, there's some darker tree line. So I'm grabbing some more of that undersea green, but this time going to pick up some, if I can activate it, pick up some of the ultramarine blue and a bit of the alizarin that came off the lid there. And that'll probably do well. So I'm not looking to copy the landscape in my reference photo, but just be inspired by it. Okay, so we've introduced some distant landscape there. So now, as we start to tackle the field, I'm going to keep what I've got going on the lid, but I'm mixing in quite a lot of that cad yellow, and we'll run some of that across the back of the field. Mix in some of the cerulean blue. Touch of the undersea green. A little bit more of the undersea green going into the mix. Let's get a bit more water. And I'm going to put down, if I just wash out the brush, I'm going to put down some almost pure cad yellow here in the foreground. And then perhaps we'll mix in a little touch of the yellow ochre into what is left of that cad yellow. We'll put that in there. And then go a little darker with some more of the undersea green. And then just thinking ahead a little bit, I whacked in that undersea green over here, which I actually quite like the colour of. But if you remember in the last live stream, I mentioned that this little guy is almost completely in shadow, so I want to keep the background around him kind of pale. So I'll just pop in, or reasonably pale anyway. So just put in a lighter colour there, which isn't quite as light as I would have liked, but it'll do. So I'm going to let that dry as it is, and some of these washes and things will start to cauliflower or run, and for painting a field in the style I'm going for, that's no problem at all. So I'm going to leave that to dry, and then once completely dry, I'll come back in and start tackling the animals. Yeah, so I think that's about it for this stage. This paper's pretty good. It doesn't really buckle unless you get it extremely wet. It has buckled a little bit here, but this is dull Arowney mixed media paper, and it's pretty good stuff. So yeah, okay, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching.